Indiana on Hull there, but then that is a technical.
That is a technical.
It's a little surprising to see so many of these happen in one game.
Caitlin Clark didn't even step on the court that night, but her rage was written all over her face. The Indiana Fever were already held together with tape and prayer, yet somehow the referees managed to make things even worse. Lexie Hull took a crushing elbow straight to the face from Kayla McBride, and instead of protecting her, the officials decided to punish her. That's right, the player who got hit ended up being called for the foul. If you're shaking your head in disbelief, you're not alone. Clark nearly exploded from the sidelines, demanding answers that never came. This wasn't just one bad call. It was the latest chapter in a season where Indiana has been bludgeoned by injuries, squeezed by brutal schedules, and now betrayed by the very people meant to enforce fairness. But here's the kicker. This wasn't even subtle. The replay showed McBride's elbow connecting cleanly with Hull's jaw, yet the whistle turned against Indiana. Fans saw it. Analysts saw it. Even Hull herself stumbled to the bench, clutching her face in pain, only to watch the scoreboard tilt further away from the Fever.
Somebody's getting abused, somebody getting beaten, somebody is getting hurt, man. Somebody is getting hurt every game in the WNBA.
It would have been outrageous enough if this was an isolated incident, but for Indiana, it's starting to feel like a pattern. Every game brings a new circus of bizarre calls, missed fouls, or phantom whistles that all seem to tilt against them. Clark, sidelined with a groin injury, couldn't believe her team was being asked to battle both the Lynx and the referees at the same time. The Fever aren't just losing games, they're losing faith that the league even wants them to win in the first place. And just when you think that sounds bad enough, wait until you hear how deep the hole really goes, because what happened with Hull's elbow wasn't the first time, and it definitely wasn't the last. Indiana's season is becoming a case study in how much one team can endure before something finally breaks.
The Indiana Fever's injury bug is getting into spooky territory. It seems like there's a new player every single day that's getting injured. Right now they have Caitlin Clark out, not sure if she will be returning this season. Sid Colson out with a season-ending ACL tear. Ari McDonald out with a season-ending fracture in her foot. Sophie Cunningham out with a season-ending MCL tear. And then just today, before the game, they announced that Chloe Bibby would be out with a knee injury, and basically they just said it's soreness and they're just playing it safe.
The Indiana Fever didn't just walk into Minnesota shorthanded, they limped in. 5 players were already missing before tip-off, each loss cutting deeper into their chances of survival. Caitlin Clark's groin injury sidelined her for weeks. Sophie Cunningham was gone for the year with an MCL tear. Sydney Colson's ACL popped, ending her season. Ari McDonald fractured her foot. Chloe Beebe was ruled out with a knee injury. That's practically a starting lineup wiped out. And if you think that's unlucky, think again. This is the definition of cursed. The Fever's depth chart wasn't just thin, it was invisible. Head coach Stephanie White was left cobbling together rotations with hardship contracts and players pulled off the couch. Even Odyssey Sims, who should have been resting her own injury, threw on a jersey because there was literally no one else. Now here's where the absurdity doubles down. After forcing Sims, Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell into marathon minutes just to survive, the referees still acted like Indiana had an unfair advantage. Seriously, what game were they watching? Hull gets elbowed, falls down, and somehow she's the villain. Mitchell drives into contact and gets nothing. The Lynx sneeze near the rim, and it's an instant whistle. You don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to see how this looks. When you're down half your roster, you don't need the officials tipping the scales further, but game after game, that's exactly what's happening.
Lexie, did you come into tonight kind of expecting to play darn near the whole game just with the injury situation and the personnel available?
Damn, you played 37 minutes.
I mean, you played a lot too, Kels. What did you play? 35. I mean, yeah, we're down people, so gotta suck it up, play a little tired a few minutes, and take in those timeouts as best we can. But yeah, I mean, we're down people, so everyone's got to do a little more.
The Fever aren't just competing against opponents, they're competing against the people with whistles in their mouths. And here's the brutal reality. Every missed call doesn't just cost points on the scoreboard. It costs energy, momentum, and trust. Trust in the referees, trust in the system, and maybe even trust in the league itself. Lexie Hull's elbow wasn't wasn't just a bad call, it was symbolic. She's already stretched thin, forced into minutes she's never played before, asked to do everything short of selling concessions during halftime. Just 2 nights earlier, she logged a career-high 37 minutes and scored 23 points because there was literally no one else to step up. Now, instead of being rewarded for her effort, she's punished for getting smacked in the face.
We've had 3 players in the last I don't know how many days, and 2 of those players are point guards, so not really. But you know, at the same time, our ability to make plays out of what we have, right? I think a lot of our spacing allows players to do what they do best, creates opportunities for them to be successful, and then it's just making the right reads and finding the right pass.
And this is where the frustration boils over. Hull wasn't just some bench warmer. She was the lifeline, the one player keeping Indiana afloat. Taking away her momentum with a bogus call didn't just hurt the scoreboard, it crushed the spirit of a team already running on fumes. Think about this. The Fever have been plugging holes with duct tape and borrowed players. Shea Petty barely had time to unpack her bags before she was thrown into the rotation. Aerial Powers, another emergency signing, was suddenly logging huge minutes without chemistry. Odyssey Sims looked like she needed crutches, yet was expected to run the offense. But here's where it gets truly absurd. While Indiana players were dragging their battered bodies up and down the court, the refs seemed more concerned about keeping Minnesota comfortable. The physicality was one-sided. Every Fever drive swallowed up, every Lynx bump rewarded. The imbalance wasn't just noticeable, it was embarrassing. Hull's jaw may have been the one that got rocked, but make no mistake, the entire Fever roster felt that hit. It was a shot to their dignity, their fight, and their belief that the game is played on level ground.
At this rate, the Fever are going to end the season with a completely different team than what they started the season with. And even the players that they're bringing in on hardship or that they're signing midway through the season, they're now going down with injuries. The season from hell would be an understatement on this team right now.
Now, let's talk about Kelsey Mitchell. If not for her, Indiana would have been steamrolled by halftime. She put up 26 points, weaving through traps, barreling into the paint, and refusing to quit even when the whistle ignored her. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was trying to drag an entire franchise across the finish line by herself. But here's the cruel twist. One player can't beat both the Lynx and the referees. Every bucket she scored felt like climbing Everest, while Minnesota coasted on favorable calls. Mitchell didn't flinch, but the wait was impossible. Every possession was survival mode. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston was doing the dirty work inside, battling double teams, securing rebounds, getting hacked without mercy. Her stat line won't jump off the page, but her effort was the glue. Without her presence in the paint, Minnesota would have ripped Indiana apart. And let's not forget the unsung savior, Shea Petty. Fresh off a hardship contract, she exploded for 16 points like she'd been part of the team all year. That performance was more than scoring, it was defiance.
Boom! Right there. Oh my goodness. Boom! Right in the face, man. Right in the face. Now, like I stated, I get it. You might be mad that Lexie put her hand on your forehead. But fam, there is no reason for you to be throwing elbows to somebody's face like.
Proof that even when the deck is stacked, Indiana refuses to fold. But here's the chilling part. None of it mattered. Not the hustle, not the heart, not the defiance. Because every time Indiana clawed close, the whistle blew against them. It was like running a marathon only to have the officials move the finish line further away. The Fever's season feels cursed. Injuries piled high, hardship contracts flooding the roster, and now referees ensuring they can't catch a break. But here's the bigger question. Is this incompetence or bias? Fans point to the pattern. Clark takes hard hits with no whistle. Hull eats an elbow and gets penalized. Boston gets mugged in the paint, while the other end is a parade of free throws. How many coincidences does it take before you stop calling it coincidence? Head coach Stephanie White has been diplomatic, but you can hear it in her tone. She's hinted the game is called differently depending on which jersey you wear, and she's not wrong. Watch the tape. The inconsistency is glaring. And here's the dangerous ripple effect. When players lose faith in officiating, they stop trusting the game itself. Every drive becomes hesitant. Every defensive stand feels useless. Instead of focusing on basketball, players are stuck worrying about what the refs will decide. That mental toll is just as damaging as the physical one. Indiana isn't just fighting for wins, they're fighting for legitimacy. And when the system tilts against you, no amount of grit can balance it out. So where does this leave the Fever? Hanging by a thread. Their record after the Lynx loss was 19-18, clinging to the 8th seed with just a 1-game cushion. Every matchup ahead is a minefield. Seattle, Golden State, Chicago, Los Angeles. No freebies, no breathing room, and yet hope flickers. Caitlin Clark was spotted back on the practice floor, not cleared to play, but moving, dribbling, warming up with teammates. For a franchise gasping for air, that sight was everything. Fans didn't just see Clark, they saw a lifeline, because Clark isn't just another scorer, she's the engine, the organizer, the player who bends defenses, creates space, and makes everyone around her better. Without her, possessions look like chaos. With her, they look like basketball. But here's the reality check. She can't do it alone. Even if Clark returns tomorrow, Indiana is still missing half its core. Cunningham isn't walking through that door. Coulson's ACL isn't healing in a week. The Fever need Clark, yes, but they also need fair officiating, balanced whistles, and a system that doesn't punish them for existing. The question isn't just when Clark returns, it's whether the league will let her team stand a chance once she does. Now, here's where the drama hits a boiling point. The Fever aren't just losing games. They're losing players to injuries that never should have escalated this far. Every cheap shot uncalled, every elbow ignored, adds up, and the league can't pretend it isn't noticing. Indiana's roster looks unrecognizable from opening night. Petty, Powers, Sims, all emergency additions are suddenly starters. The chemistry is patchwork, the rotations are chaotic, and still the Fever refuse to roll over. But resilience only goes so far when the officials act like your opponent's 6th player. Clark's fury from the sidelines wasn't just about Hull's elbow, it was about the message it sent, that no matter how battered this team gets, the referees will keep piling on. And here's the painful irony. Clark's injury robbed the league of its biggest star for weeks, yet the officials are treating her team as if they're disposable. How does that help the WNBA grow? The Fever are stuck playing 2 games every night, the one against their opponent and the one against the whistle, and that second game is the one breaking them down. At this point, you have to ask, what's the end game? If the Fever miss the playoffs, the league loses the biggest storyline it has, Caitlin Clark. If the team keeps losing players to unchecked physicality, the product suffers. If fans believe officiating is corrupt, trust evaporates. And here's the twist. The Fever, despite everything, are still in the hunt. Barely, but they're alive. Clark's looming return could turn everything upside down. Imagine this same battered group suddenly stabilized by her presence. Mitchell no longer carrying the scoring load alone. Boston finally getting space inside. Hull able to focus on defense without logging marathon minutes. But it only works if the referees do their jobs. Fair calls, balanced whistles, protection for players who are already 1 injury away from collapse. If the league can't guarantee that, then all of Clark's firepower won't matter. This isn't just about one game, it's about a season that's teetering between resilience and collapse. And right now, the scales are tipping in the wrong direction. Caitlin Clark's fury is justified. She's not just standing up for herself, she's standing up for her teammates who keep paying the price for bad officiating. Hull's swollen jaw is the latest example, but the list grows every week. And if the league wants to protect its future, it has to start protecting its players. The Fever have shown fight, they've shown heart, they've shown they won't quit no matter how stacked the deck becomes. But even Warriors need fairness. And here's the cold truth, if referees keep making themselves the story, then the Fever's fight won't be enough. Clark's return is coming. The question is whether the league is ready to handle it, because when she steps back on that floor, the spotlight won't just be on her jump shots. It'll be on every whistle, every call, every non-call. The world will be watching to see if the WNBA can get its act together. The Indiana Fever's season can be summed up in one word: survival. Survival through injury, survival through bad calls, survival through the kind of chaos that would have broken most teams weeks ago. And yet, here they are, still fighting, still clawing, still believing. Caitlin Clark's fury isn't just anger, it's fuel. Fuel to demand better from the league, from the referees, from the system that's supposed to protect the game. Lexie Hull's elbow wasn't just a bruise, it was a flashing warning sign. Ignore it, and the WNBA risks losing more than just a playoff spot. It risks losing credibility. So here's the final thought. If the league wants its brightest star to shine, it needs to stop dimming the lights around her. Protect the players, call the game fair, and give the Fever a fighting chance, because they've earned at least that much. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more breakdowns while supporting the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you.